Do we have to take a lot of time focusing on healing from tragic events? Hey, I'm Jason, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And so this topic is funny because it actually comes from a recent Uber trip that I had around here in South Africa, and it came from a guy who was talking to me. He's like, "Hey, I would bring you to South Africa, blah blah blah." And, usually the first thing they think of after they, because one next question usually is, "So, do you have family here with you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm single." And I usually try not to tell people what happened, why I'm here and stuff like that. But sometimes people push the point, and so then I have to just like, "Hey, this is the case, man." And so then he was like, "Oh, so you're here for the women? Oh, be careful of the slay queens, this and that." And I'm like, "No, I'm not here for the women. Actually, that's the last thing on my mind right now. I'm just really focused on business." But then he kept pushing, and I was like, telling him like, "Look, man, I'm here because my wife passed away, so I'm just here because no one knows me." And then he's like, "Oh, okay, I get it. You're just here to get away, so you can start over and really, just heal from it." I was like, "Yeah, exactly." He's like, "Oh yeah, man, it's gonna take you a lot of time. You gotta take a lot of time to heal." And I was like, "Oh, interesting." And when I say interesting, when people say certain things, usually mean like, "Wow, that's an interesting viewpoint," but I'm not going to accept what you say. And this is one of the reasons why, like, uh, am I sad from the passing of Chantel? Yes. And I know most of you may know her as Cece, but for me, she was Chantel, so I'm using that name from here on out. Yes, like there's always memories. There's always things like on the helicopter ride that I did yesterday. I was like, "Oh man, I really would have loved to share this experience with her." But then, hey, it is what it is. Like, she's not coming back. Like, I know that now. I accept it. I realize this isn't a dream, and it is what it is. It's just life. But it was just interesting because I was really listening to what he was saying, and then it was complete opposite of what you hear people who do law of attraction, or if you've ever read any of Robert Russell books, which I recommend. What is it called? Don't dry those tears, something like that. I'll get the real name for you. But it's Russell Roberts, really great book, and it's all about grieving, especially if you lose a loved one. And one of the things, because if you're not aware, that I do high level law of attraction coaching with Bob Proctor Gallagher Institute. And this past couple of weeks, one of the programs, the subject matter that we were on, I kept listening over and over and over and over and over and over. And it kept hitting home to me. It was someone going through some problems, and the advice they were giving them was like, "Hey, focus on how much good you can do." Okay, you're depressed, so what? Focus on how much good you can do. You can't be depressed and be happy at the same time. So maybe if you focus on doing some good, you won't be depressed anymore. And I started realizing, like, okay, how can I apply this to my life? Because one of the things, the law of attraction stuff, like, I don't just listen to it and read it all day just for nothing. I really try to see where can I apply it into my life. And this is one of the areas where I've been really applying things into my life is the missing of Cece, the sadness, the longing of now having to, even frustration and anger of now having to change my whole self-identity from this married expat couple to now I'm just this single nomad guy living around the world who's creating $1 billion empire. And those two images don't look the same, and they don't feel the same. And so with that, I've been using a lot of this practice of seeing where can I become better. What are some areas that I can improve on each and every day? And one of the areas was, instead of focusing on being sad every day, was, okay, what can I do good today? Every time I interact with someone, how can I genuinely put a smile on their face? Like, how can I genuinely just make them feel like they've had a great day today? And that's what I've been focusing on. So I do little things such as even going to the helicopter ride. That was a really cool experience. Me and the helicopter pilot talked. She was really amazing. And I'm like, man, once I have the money to buy a helicopter, I want to hire her as a pilot because she was a really cool person. It was a great experience. And one day I was at one of the restaurants. A guy, he was coming in. I just bought him something to eat. Like, hey, get you some meat, man. There's some good vegan food. Like, another time I was somewhere, some people, because here in South Africa, some of the places don't take cash. You got to use card. And they just had cash, and they just need like a water or something. And so I just paid for it, and I was like, they wanted to give me the cash, and I'm just like, hey, just pay it forward to someone else, man. Like, it's not that serious. And it's like just little things like that. Am I taking the extra time to hold the door open for somebody or hold the elevator open for someone? Saying hi to the guy that opens the door for me whenever I leave the apartment building. Just those real little things. Like, it's not these big grand tasks that we believe we have to do better in the world. It's just these little things, and I started seeing, like, focusing on that happiness and make that sadness go away. And it's there's days where I wake up a lot more happy than I am sad, and those are some very great days. And so I really just want to leave it with this, because this is just one of the things that I really feel is very important since I've started doing a lot of this, changing my perspective on how I'm looking at things and how I'm feeling about things. And that is, if we start focusing on the small moments of happiness, just those really small moments that we have each and every day, we're going to start seeing we have better days than what we really believe. And I remember personally feeling like, oh, I'm having the worst days in the world. And I look back now, I'm like, man, those were some really good days. I was tripping. And so just really focus on that. Try to find one or two small things in your day that you can just be like, man, this was a really cool thing. Was it an experience with someone? Was it just a conversation? Did you see something? Some days for me, it's just hearing some of the birds out here by my window, just hearing them singing and talking, like really beautiful stuff. And so just focus on that and have a great day, and hope you really got some value from this video.